As Diddy's Making the Band began to trend on social media seemingly out of nowhere this week, several users took the opportunity to criticize Diddy for making the contestants perform outrageous tasks that often had nothing to do with music. Willie Taylor from Making the Band's Day 26 decided to address those comments in an Instagram post that read, "Making the Band was an experience for sure, but the platform and contracts were all a setup for the failure of hungry talents." Taylor would then go on to elaborate by saying, "Learning experience. You got to understand that people will do to you whatever you allow them. So don't let your passion drive you in the wrong direction. Making the Band 4, Day 26, and Danity Kane are talented groups, but the situation in which we met was designed to fail." Today we have our comedy hype analyst, Vanessa Fraction, Pierre, along with very special guests, Yamanika, calling in to give their reactions. But first, let's take a look at the clip that started this all.
Bucking on this little right here, I definitely don't want to with y'all.
Niggas want this man, but we was just on the tip like you was trying to put us out there like a bitch or something, like make us walk all the way to Brooklyn, like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't really care however you took it or whatever went through your mind. It was a mission that had to be done. All this psychological, that's ego. So the ego's in your way. So the ego made the decision, especially with a like you, when I helped get your ass out of a situation and you looking at me in my face telling me you ain't gonna do something. I can see if I told you to go rob a bank, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing some, I'm gonna go get some cheesecake. You got that much ego? Go do your thing, man. Don't sit here and be talking about it, man. Be fly about it. Get your swag on, walk that way. Your is that way, do it. If you want to think about it, or if you ain't gonna walk that way, walk to Brooklyn and be happy about it.
Now, watching that clip definitely brings up so many memories from that show. But Pierre, I want to start with you. Let's start with the video because there's a couple things to break down. What's your reaction, re-looking at that clip from Making the Band?
Well, it's definitely a different time. I understand what P. Diddy was saying, and his effort. You got to show that you want this. There's a lot of people who think they want this, but do they really, really want this? There's more glamour than just some singing on stage. It's behind the scenes stuff, hustling and busting and traveling and doing stuff. And he wanted to say, do you have it inside of you to get out there and do that? Now we're in a different generation. These kids are a little softer now. Anything you pass a level 4 of speaking to them, vocally wise, they get their feelings hurt. And you're talking too loud to me. You're making me do something. I'm not in my safe space around you. Well, back then when I was coming up and he was coming up, he probably looked for his predecessors before him. That was, hey, you got to get tough. There's some stuff you're going to do that you ain't going to like. You're going to be on buses and situations and shows that ain't going to be beautiful. Are you still going to want to have that desire to do that? And if you don't, then I'm giving you a small thing to do. If you can't handle that, then this might not be what you want to do.
Right. Vanessa, I want to come to you. What are your thoughts, re-looking at that clip?
Just the clip by itself, I'm probably mirroring a little bit of what Pierre is saying. It takes a lot to be in this business. And sometimes you have to do things that you might not understand for a greater good, and it's like, are you willing to do this? Do you have the endurance? Are you not going to question me and just do what I'm asking you to do? Because if you had it together, why the hell are you here? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It also reminds me of a parable of when God told this man to push a rock, and he kept thinking that the rock was going to move after he pushed that rock for a year. But that wasn't why God told him to do it. He told him to roll up his sleeves. Look how strong you got. You thought you were trying to move a rock. I was just trying to strengthen you. So I liken it to that.
Good reference. Good reference. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us, Yamanika. It's definitely a pleasure having you on the platform today. Now, I want to get your reactions on this too. Looking at that clip, what are your thoughts and reactions?
Well, I mean, I respect everybody here, obviously, but my opinion is, you're not going to ask me to go get a cheesecake because this is Making the Band, not making the bakery. You understand? So some of the things are ridiculous. And some of the things that people do are exploitative, but also karma comes back on them. Now, I'm all for hard work, but hard work in the realm of where you need to work. A lot of times, especially in comedy, we see a lot of people that know how to network. We see a lot of people who know how to do certain things and sacrifice their soul, but it has nothing to do with the talent. So then when we look at it and see, we see comics who are like, well, how the hell did they get here? Oh, because they know to go get cheesecake from Juniors whenever somebody tell them at 4 a.m. And people with real talent are trying to work on that talent. So, I am for hard work, but I'm also not for playing people. And P. Diddy has a long history of playing people, which is why his legacy of talent is Biggie and maybe one other person, and that's it. And he has a long list of people who don't want to work with him or regret working with him. But he's a millionaire or billionaire, and good for him.
And I think there are a lot of people that agree with you, a lot of people in the comments, as well as I mentioned, Willie from Day 26 had his thoughts on it as well, pretty much saying like, he felt like as talented as they were set up for failure. So Pierre, I want to come back to you. What are your thoughts, seeing Willie respond to, this clip resurfacing?
He said set up for failure. What does that mean? I mean, do you think maybe P. Diddy did want to have a TV show and just make everybody fail? I don't get that part of it. His ego is too big. I think he wants successful acts. Now he recorded the show and he probably wanted successful acts out of it. I don't think he recorded that show just to make them fail. Say, I want to see this show go downhill because it makes him look bad. Why would he want that? Look where P. Diddy is. Look where them people are. P. Diddy is I'm not a fan of all his antics, but I'm a fan of his hustle, his push. That boy is where he's at. He's put a lot of people on. I mean, Yamanika can say he had 2 people as his legacy, but he had Total, Faith. I mean, we can go Mace. We can lay a whole bunch of people. Sure, they might not be around. A lot of relationships don't last long in this recording industry. The recording industry we have, there's people who jump off of Casablanca, off of Motown, off of this. There's a lot of people who get on and then get off for different reasons besides maybe record sales didn't work right and people get off of those records for that. But he's made a lot of stars. So, I mean, Berry Gordy has a bad history too.
No disrespect to you, Pierre, because I have such respect for you, and I agree with everything that you're saying. And this is not even a disrespect to P. Diddy. He has all these groups that we've mentioned who we all can bop to, and at this point in time, we go, oh yeah, what about them? What happened to them? And we can't forget that P. Diddy is a brand and a business that climbs on the back of other people being a part of that brand, but doesn't necessarily live off of those people being successful in that brand because he's the brand. So he's always presenting us with something that's entertaining to us, and then he sort of sheds it and gets something else. So that's what I'm more concerned about is why isn't there a retention of all these amazing artists that you've had from Mace to Total to this one to that one? Why do so many people say that you are a problem? That's me just dealing with reality. I ain't got no beef with P. Diddy because I ain't got enough money to be going up against him. You understand what I'm saying?
Now, Vanessa, I want to bring you in on this conversation. Seeing, Willie speak out against the clip and saying, he felt like they were set up for failure. What are your thoughts, or what do you want to add to what's being discussed thus far?
I don't know about set up for failure. It is set up for the big fish to eat more. You know what I'm saying? And you have to do the best you can with what's given to you. He's in a delicate position because it's like, do I take this bullshit contract and be able to be seen? Why am I talking about Willie Taylor? Why am I talking about Day 26? Because you were on Making the Band. Do I know you from anything else? No, I actually don't. You know what I mean? So it was up to you once you see. I didn't read the contract. I don't know what he said. You owe me an album. You owe me woo. I don't know how much in it was, but whatever it was, you have to plan for what you're going to do with after that. You know what I'm saying? Get a job while you got a job, while you had that contract or whatever was going on with Making the Band. Maybe you should have started, doing music lessons and shit. I don't know, but you have to expand and evolve from what you have. And you have to take a chance and a risk, because what if you would have never been on Making the Band? Would we be talking about you?
Exactly.
There is a level of responsibility. We all know about shit contracts. Yes, you are in a sensitive situation. No, you don't always have the lawyer. And even if you did, you have to weigh.
I think you bring up a great point there, Vanessa, because we don't know the contract. And I think it comes to a question, who's responsible when it comes to, artists that get back contracts? Is it more responsibility on the artist, or is it responsibility on people that are in Diddy's position? I want to start with you, Pierre. Who do you think that responsibility, should fall on?
Well, it really should fall on the artist. You have to protect yourself. Even when you walk out in the middle of the street, when you come outside at night, you got to protect yourself. It's about yourself, self-preservation. We can't keep asking other people to take care of it, especially in a business aspect. Let me tell you, P. Diddy, you don't think Lionsgate with filmmaking, you don't think Columbia Records, Warner Brother Records, you don't think none of them have nasty situations. The contract is made for the person who gives you the contract, not for you. It's for you to find out, make sure the devil in the details when you look at it. It's not that person's. We just jump on P. Diddy because he's the face of it. We're not jumping on Warner Brothers. We're not jumping on New Line Cinema. We're not jumping on Universal Pictures. We make movies with them. It's a business. Take care of yourself. And if you ain't ready to take care of yourself, don't jump into it. You can't jump into it and then have something don't work out for you. Then you're crying about the thing. You got to man up.
Right. Now, Yamanika, I want to give you a chance to respond to that as well. What are your thoughts? Who do you think, at the end of the day, when we're looking at these situations, who does the responsibility fall back on?
I'm just so glad to be here. You guys are just so engaging and entertaining.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
And listen, I ain't arguing with Pierre because he got somebody cleaning his house. I had to vacuum
That part.
So, you know, when I remember getting my first contract that I had no representation and I got it signed, and it was for a big platform, it was for Last Comic Standing. And then some things happened and we had to read the contract. And I was like, listen, I just signed this by faith because I didn't have anybody. Now in my career, as it's grown and I've learned the business and I've seen things and I'm older, now I have a lawyer who I go, listen, do we have this? Do we have that? We also, yes, there are other entities that are exploiting artists. P. Diddy is not the only one. Sometimes we would hope that with our own, because we are also so exploited as Black people in general, that other people that look like us would take a little bit of care to go, this is a young kid who has no idea what's going on. Some of these kids are 16, 17 years old. They don't have the mindset of a 40-year-old or 50-year-old. You know, let me do a little something by him. I ain't gotta rake him through the coals. I may take a little more for myself, but I could at least make sure I leave something for him to build off of later. You know,
I totally agree with that. But at the end of the day, it's still your responsibility. It's still yours.
Right. I want to give Vanessa a chance to chime in. So Vanessa, I want to come to you with that same question. When you're looking at it at the end of the day, who do you think the responsibility falls on, whether it's the artists or people that are in Diddy's position?
It's the artist. It is the artist. You know, again, people can, it's only what people you're allowed to do. And I think when we're in these sensitive situations, we're very quick to say, this might be the only thing, or this might be, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But there are some people that did it on their own and gained more from it. Master P, wouldn't that be a good example?
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, you know what I mean? I agree with Yamanika when you're saying about the exploitation of when we're of that same color, you like, well, I know my brother ain't gonna do that to me, or if he do, he's not gonna do me as bad as so-and-so would. And that might be true, but that still might not be the correct contract for you. And after a while, money is money, and it's not about the skin color, it's more about the dividends. You know what I'm saying? What, you know, who are my colleagues within my my bracket, and I want to stay within that. So you can't trust anyone. I mean, I'm sure we've heard about this business for eons. We know you can't trust anyone, even when you think that you do. And yes, they're gonna love you up. They're gonna give you gifts. They're gonna have you, you know, rolling with them, all this. And you're like, oh, I'm part of the family. I'm part of the family. Don't forget to take care of the business. You know what I'm saying? Period.
Absolutely. Well, as always, I appreciate you all for calling and chiming in. Again, Yamanika, thank you so much for joining. I think you added so much value today to today's conversation. So thank you so much for joining us. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Willie responding to P. Diddy? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
I've been reading the comments.
Put it in the comments.
Did you enjoy today's show? You can stop by comedyhype.com/shop to pick up your Comedy Hype News show mug today. And don't forget to always protect Black culture.